Do you feel like your muslin is strangling you around the neck? I have a really easy fit adjustment to share with you today, and this is coming via one of my fitting students. If you haven't heard of my J Stern Designs YouTube Insider Club, you might want to check it out. I'm putting a link in the description below. This is a one-time payment of $99, which gives you an organized catalog of my content, which is updated every month. Plus, we get together on the last Sunday of the month live. So I have these live meetups where I can see you, you can see me, and we talk about all things fitting, sewing, fabric sources, bra making. We have talked about so many different topics over the past year. It has been amazing. And for me, I get to meet you and I get to see you. So if you enjoy my FabFit Friday and you'd like a little more interaction, this is really a cool opportunity. There's also a community message board included in the YouTube Insider Club, so you can post your questions and comments. There's different channels that are dedicated to online resources, upcycling, member market, member gallery, all sorts of things. So this particular fitting adjustment was shared during last month's live, and I'm calling it the Agnes neck adjustment because it's really cool. And if everything is fitting you, like my little sample here, I just want to show you. So if you can pin your center front closed with the correct seam allowance. So I've overlapped here an inch because I have half-inch seam allowances to pin it shut, right? And everything down here is good. But then as we travel to the neck, it's almost spreading apart here, okay? Meaning it's too snug here, but it's fine here, right? So I'm going to show you how to fix this and make this fit up at the top without adjusting anything below where it's needed. So the first thing you want to do is sort of notice where the seam allowances start to diverge, or where the seam allowances don't meet at the full half-inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to put a mark, like I would say like right here. Okay, so this brown line is where it starts to separate or become too snug. And I'm going to measure that distance. So I've got, from that distance to the top of the neckline is 8 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just measuring it like this. All right, so now let me show you on my pattern how to fix that. And I've printed out this half scale here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down. I would measure down 8 3/4 of an inch, but because this is a half scale or a smaller size, I'm going to just position it where the position is in relation to the armhole. So it's probably about 2 inches above the armhole. So here's my armhole level, just to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go up 2 inches. Maybe I'll go up 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so this would be the distance from the raw edge of your center front neckline down to where it starts to diverge. Now, sometimes if this area here, okay, is too snug, and it's also too snug all the way down, you can simply, extend this out, the amount you need, and just add it all the way down like this. So this would be a way to relax the front neckline plus add ease all the way down. But that's not what we're talking about in this situation. What we're talking about, and I'm just going to get rid of this extra paper now just to keep it nice and neat, like this. What we're talking about is almost, it's a gradual need for more ease. So here we're even, right? And then up here, we need to add an inch, because if you look at my muslin up here, the raw edges are just touching there, which means we need to add the 1/2 inch seam allowances in. So I need to add a 1/2 inch to the half front bodice to get it to reach around to center front. Now, how do I do that without adding to my center front? What we're going to do is we're going to create 2 slash lines, and I want to put them sort of a little bit spaced apart like this, maybe an inch apart like this. Okay, so down to the line that I drew for the base of the adjustment in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the pattern along this line. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I need to create a hinge down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread both of these 1/4 inch, and that will move everything over to a 1/2 inch wider. It's going to make the neckline a 1/2 inch wider. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to slash through here and pivot at the bottom. And I'm also going to slash through here and I'm going to pivot at the bottom. And then I'm just going to use some of my extra paper I have here hanging out to fill these in. So basically, I want to keep my center front straight. So I'm going to move everything this way, away from center front. So this is going to stay straight. Let's start with the slash closest to center front. I'm just going to put a piece of paper under there like this. Okay, and again, I'm only worrying about this first slash mark here. Okay, so I'm going to put some Scotch tape to hold it on the slash line closer to center front. Then I'm going to mark a 1/4 inch, goes to here, and then I'm going to close this so it's only spreading that 1/4 inch like this. Okay. You can probably guess what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take my second piece of paper and I'm just going to tape it onto this edge that's closest to center front. Okay, and you can see this slash it's starting to go into the vertical or the vertical curve. So I'm just going to make this ever so slightly more than a 1/4 inch. Meaning I'm going to make it, let's do it an extra, maybe an extra 1/16 or so. So a generous 1/4, because this is also, because it's on the upswing, I just want to make it a little bit bigger so it translates to a full 1/4 inch here. So something like that. Now the beauty of this is, I think you can see that if you have a gradual situation where it's fitting here, but then it goes out like this to the neck, I am adding a gradual amount here, right? And then I'm adding more and more and more as we get to the actual neckline. So you can see I'm adding here and here. The full, this right here and this right here is at a full 1/2 inch. But then when I get down here, I'm adding 0, and the scale increases as you get up to that 1/2 inch. So this type of adjustment is perfect for when you need a certain amount of ease at the base of your neck, and then it blends back to the original edge, you know, somewhere below that. So that's why it's important to measure, you know, on your, while you're wearing it, where it starts to separate. So that would be this, you know, this level here. All right, so after you do that, the next step is to tape the lower portion and the upper portion of the pattern back together. And you want to touch both of the center front and the armhole edges. So you can see that the pattern spreads a little bit when you line up both the center front and the armhole edges back together. So I'm matching it perfectly here and here. You want to make sure this is staying 100% straight, right? So this has to be, your center front edge has to stay straight. So you want to make sure that is staying straight. And this little bit of opening here shouldn't really cause an issue. So what we've done is we've added the amount you need at the neckline, taper to nothing down here. And, you know, just to really finish this off, I would put some paper underneath this horizontal, like this. And this would be your completed pattern piece. So once you do that, what's going to happen is your center front neckline will match up, and it will gradually blend back to the original edge at the base of the adjustment, and it's going to look like this. All right, so this is just a quick bodice fitting adjustment. I know we've been on pants for a little bit, but this came up last Sunday during our live in our YouTube club meetup, and I just want to call it the Agnes neckline adjustment because I thought that was brilliant, and I really hadn't thought of doing it that way. So this brings up such a great point about, you know, you're always learning, and I always learn from my students or from my sewing friends that I hang out with. So this is very cool. So if you have any questions or comments, please post those below and I will help you. If you're enjoying my content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. It's an easy, free thing to do, and it really helps support my work and grow my channel. So thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.